On today's Central Indiana Sports Central podcast, we talk to our fever guy, John Robertson, about the latest fever injury, what it means, and we talk about the toxic environment in the WNBA. I spoke with Sam Frick of ANEC Sports in Fort Wayne about the Colts, and he gave us some reasons to be optimistic about the Colts heading into the 2025 season. On the first busy day of the fall high school sports season, Michelle Garmon of the Tipton Tribune and Elwood call leader did double duty covering Tri-Central Elwood girls soccer and Frankton Lapel Volleyball. She had a report for both. And I spoke with Eric and Ryan Robinson of the College Football Report about the biggest stories heading into the season, just 5 days away.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report and today's Central Indiana Sports Central. A look at all of the sports news in Central Indiana over the past day, and often we look ahead as well. Today we're going to be talking some fever again with John Robertson, making his Central Indiana Sports Central debut, as is Sam Frick, who's going to talk a little Colts and signing of Xavier Howard, among other things. Talk to Michelle Garmon, who has a report on Tri-Central Elwood girls soccer and Frankton Lapel volleyball. And I spoke with Eric and Ryan Robinson about what to expect from the college football season, which is just a few days away. And we start with our fever guy, John Robertson. Welcome to the Central Indiana Sports Report. John Robertson, our fever guy, here to talk a few minutes about the fever. John, it's the second day we've done Central Indiana Sports Central, and the second straight day the fever have led the podcast, despite not playing you again until Friday because of the news. And what's the latest on Sophie Cunningham?
I haven't heard an official report. ESPN lists her as day-to-day. From the replays and the reviews, I don't see her coming back anytime soon. It did not look good.
And then what is this, 4 serious injuries in the last 2 weeks? That doesn't even include Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, it's just, even taking out the narrative about the WNBA being incredibly rough, and, you know, as a biased Fever fan, I feel like there is definitely more violence against Fever players than anyone else.
And John, Will Rutherford and I are going to talk about this coming up on Greg and Will in the morning.
This has just been a really rough season. Came into it with so much hope and like so much momentum, and it felt like it was going to be great, and just all the stuff that was supposed to be good has not been good, and then the injury plague has just been awful. I have conspiracies about other things going on in the WNBA too, so I don't know. It's not been a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to be real honest. Like I love the Fever.
I know.
But I haven't really enjoyed watching it for a variety of reasons the last couple of games.
Especially, as you mentioned, so much promise coming into the year. People were talking championship. People were talking dynasty. And we're now, 35 days without Caitlin Clark?
35 without Caitlin Clark. We're fighting just to stay in the playoffs at this point. Just all the injuries is so bad. But if you look at the last 10, they're still 6-4. They're still above 500 on their last 10. But with the strength of schedule they got coming up, it's going to be tough to maintain. They've got to go 500 from here on out, or better.
Big doubleheader coming up against the Lynx this weekend, Friday. We will not have a reaction to that one, John, because it's the first football Friday night of the season. But we will have a Fever report on Saturday, and we will react to the Fever Lynx game on Sunday. But those are big ones now.
Yeah, those games mean a lot. We said it before, for those people that have been following the podcast, like we said along on the way, we need to win the games we can win, and we've been struggling against teams we should have won. easy, and now we've got the difficult games ahead. So they're gonna have to fight for it. Shout out to Kelsey Mitchell though; she's fighting tooth and nail to bring this team along, right?
What a performance by Kelsey. The words MVP candidate should be now definitely be mentioned next to her name.
100%. If the term MVP was taken literal and like the most valuable player to their team, that's Kelsey Mitchell this season. She has been a rock through all of the ups and downs and the crazy things that they've had to deal with. She has just consistently performed. I mean, I can only think of like 2, maybe 3 games where she didn't have a stellar night. So, shout out to Kels.
Great season by her. Great, really, more than anything, her ability to take it to another level when her teams needed her to has been impressive. But now they're going to have to go even deeper into what's already, I said earlier this week, Odyssey Sims alone is not going to be the answer. They're going to have to do something. And now you're thankful that you have Odyssey Sims and got to make another move.
Well, and I gotta say, like, Odyssey Sims came into a difficult situation. Expectations were super high. Like, Ari McDonald set the bar for somebody coming in on point guard on an emergency. So, like, you got to feel a little bad for Odyssey that people's expectations were she was just going to come in and fit right in and run with it, and she didn't, and that's okay because, like, that's a ridiculous expectation, right?
Those were ridiculous.
But I'm just saying, I just want to put that out there. Like, we were at her first game, and it was kind of, they looked a little lost, as you would. She'd been with the team one day, so. Like Ari, that says even more about Ari, about how good she was coming in and doing what she did. I love this team. I definitely want to see him pull it out. I want to see him make the playoffs. There's rumors that Caitlin could be back next week.
Well, let's hope. It would be amazing if she went running out there on Friday night and they could beat the Lynx in back-to-back games and put all this concern to bed. John, thank you so much for your time. Always appreciate it. Tune in to the Fever Report on Saturday, everybody. I'm joined now by Sam Frick of ANEC Sports in Fort Wayne. Sam contributes often and is filling in until we find a Colts guy. By the way, if you are interested in talking Colts with us, as long as you're passionate about the Colts and can talk, we're interested in hearing from you. Sam, some Colts news today as the regular season gets closer and closer. The Colts have signed a kicker, Spencer Schrader, who's looked great in the preseason, and signed a former All-Pro in Xavier Howard in a defensive backfield that looks like it may be shaping up to be pretty good.
Definitely a big signing with Xavier Howard. Veteran experience there, a guy that was on the Miami Dolphins as they were ascending as a franchise. A lot of experience. He's known how to excel at the NFL level. And for a Colts franchise that's been scrambling to find that veteran leadership on the secondary for quite some time now, that's a big signing there. And then getting Spencer Schrader under contract for this year, having the confidence of the organization to know that he's the guy that can make those kits in the timely moments, I think is massive for the Colts. To not have to waste time trying to find another kicker in the free agent market, that is huge. Because what I'm seeing right now in the NFL, there have been a lot of teams scrambling for kickers, and the market for kickers is so bare bones right now. You don't know what you're getting yourself into if you have to find another kicker in the free agent market. So this is huge for the Colts to take care of the kicker spot right now, and then getting that veteran leadership in the secondary in hopes of the Colts to have more of a bounce back season in hopes of making the playoffs in 2025.
A little bit of bad news. Hunter Wohler, who was a 7th-round draft pick, who looked like he was going to be a cinch to make the roster, is out for the season, as is Blake Freeland, the backup tackle. Of course, in the NFL, you get a lot of that. Also, when they signed Howard, part of it was because Juju Brents, Jalen Jones, Kenny Moore, and Jonathan Edwards are all out in the defensive backfield. None of them expected to be long-term, but again, that could be, if all those guys get healthy, you're talking about 4 or 5 guys, 6 guys when you throw in Kenny Moore, who's the ultimate nickel back, who can really play in the defensive backfield.
And depth's going to be a big thing for the Colts. That's been an issue at times in the past few years. Is we've had some injuries that have kind of been hurdles for us in the past. And on the defense side of the ball, and you know this is the NFL, health is a key part of an NFL season, and getting help on defense, especially with the way our Colts have been running on quarterback and with our defense as the way it's constructed right now. health of these players is going to be so important. So if we can get as much depth as humanly possible and get through this early season's challenge right now with the injuries, I think that would be huge for the Colts. So hopefully that these signings will help at least address some of these issues here, and hopefully we are healthy enough to play our best football down the stretch.
19 days from the regular season opener at home against the Miami Dolphins. The preseason concludes Saturday in Cincinnati. What are you hoping to see in the final preseason game, Sam?
I think the big thing for me when we watch the Colts and the Bengals is how do the starters look for that final preseason tune-up leading up to the regular season matchup? How does Anthony Richardson look, for that short period of time in that match against Cincinnati? And then how does the rest of that depth chart look like for the Colts? Right now, there is some uncertainty in terms of what the depth chart looks like on defense, especially now with the injuries that we've heard of late. What does the rest of that depth chart look like as we round things out for the start of the regular season? Those are things I'm most looking forward to with this matchup against the Bengals. I don't care nearly as much about the game as long as I can see that the Colts are at least making progress in hopes of a better season as we prepare for the matchup against Miami in 19 days.
Everybody tune in for Sam and the Colts report. Sam's going to give reasons for optimism and a little bit for pessimism heading into the season, and that is coming out later Tuesday. Thanks so much, Sam.
Thank you.
And now we welcome back Michelle Garmon to Central Indiana Sports Central, and she had double duty tonight as part of her job as the sports editor at the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader. First, Michelle covered a soccer game at Elwood and then volleyball at Lapel. And let's start with some soccer. Michelle, tell me the result.
0-0 draw between Tri-Central and Elwood. Tri-Central's got a new coach this year, Jonathan Alterman, taking over for Matt Korn, who filled that role for the last 2 years. It was a nice, even match. Both teams were good defensively, got some shots on offense, but just could not finish. And, part of that is Elwood has an outstanding keeper in Kelsey Arms. I think she may be the best keeper in the area.
Wow.
She did a nice job. And then Tri-Central's got a new keeper, but their defense is good. They moved Jackie Trujillo back defense. She's really fast. She's really smart and kind of like a center back sweeper type position. She really did a great job of chasing down and taking away any really good shot opportunity by Elwood. Panthers are much improved from their first season, like 3 years ago, for 2 or 3 years ago. And Tri-Central, they were better than I expected. I'll tell you what, the Frankton Lady Eagles volleyball team sent a nice message tonight. They won the JV and varsity. Varsity was in 3 straight sets, and it was great for the Eagles because they faced a little bit of adversity in each set. They trailed at times, but came back and pulled out a win in each 25-21, 20-23, and 26-24. Hannah Thomas, coach in her second year at Frankton, is really happy, and she should be. I told her, we were talking after the match, and I told her that I remember seeing Frankton's team the first time last year and how much ahead this team is in terms of connectivity and everything on the floor. They're not no disjointed moments. They work really good. She attributed a lot of that to summer workouts they had. She said they kind of set in those summer workouts, and it's just really carried over. Not very many balls dropped tonight. Their defense was really great, and she was really pleased with her hitters because Lapel has Linnea Wills, who's just one of the premier athlete. Right.
One of the best in the state.
You're listening to Greg and Will in the Morning. With traffic and weather on the 9s. Only not really.
I'm joined now by Will Rutherford of Strictly Biased with Will Rutherford, the old show with a new name and a new format. Will is taking control of his own podcast, doing it twice a week now, inching forward, inching closer to 5 days a week that I'm trying to get him to do eventually. So, but Will's initial Strictly Biased podcast will premiere later Tuesday, and it's all about the NFL. Will and Will's here to talk with me about whatever is on his mind. And Will, we can talk about football for 10 more minutes if you want, or we can go off to another subject like how suicidal is the WNBA.
No, it's absolutely ludicrous. One thing that's really been on my mind is Christopher Sanchez deserves to win the Cy Young over Paul Skeens.
I think so, yeah.
Just gonna come out and say it.
Just based on
not really a whole lot of people.
I wouldn't say based on who's better necessarily, who you would take over the other guy.
That's the awesome thing about the Cy Young is that it has nothing to do with who's the actual better pitcher. It's who has the better year. And I believe that Christopher Sanchez's year has impacted the Phillies more than Paul Skeens has. I know that Brian Kenny, if he's listening to this, which I love his sabermetrics and how forward-minded
he's amazing. He's great.
Game, but I don't want to hear his crap about the fact that we can't qualify all this. We just strictly have to look at the numbers. Christopher Sanchez has made a bigger impact on the Phillies than Skeens has the Pirates, and it has everything to do with record. I'm not saying win-losses matter, but it's just a feeling. I feel like it's tough to be a Cy Young on a team that wins 70 games. So that's my borderline hot take. I feel like if you're ingrained in the MLB community, you should probably feel a similar way, but the casuals fans would disagree.
We're in the heat of the pennant race. Let's stay with baseball for a minute.
Okay.
The Brewers beat the Cubs 7-0 today. That's like they've now won like 415 of their last 419 games or something like that.
Yep.
Are they legit, or are we going to see the exact same thing we've seen all the last 4 or 5 years?
We're going to see the same thing, but they are legit. Like the same thing, the same outcome will happen.
No, I mean, are we going to see them in the World Series?
No,
are we going to see them win a World Series?
So then nothing's different. But this team is legit. Like you cannot watch.
They've all been legit.
Well,
come on. They
really
one of the best bullpens of all time.
They were competing with one team, the Cardinals. The Cubs and Pirates and Reds were horrible.
Fair enough. You're saying this team's better than those?
This team is better. This team plays baseball in the most pure baseball way baseball can be played. Pat Williams is just an absolute genius. Speaking of NBA or WNBA being suicidal, I mean, is the CBA just going to dissolve the league or what? What are we going to do?
I mean, we're getting to the point. Look, I've started to become a WNBA fan because of the Fever and Caitlin Clark and all these, but the league seems so against them. And it just seems so toxic against the Fever. And you kind of like, hey, Caitlin Clark is more popular than the entire WNBA.
Wherever Caitlin Clark goes, people will follow.
She could be the Pied Piper to another league. They could play in small college gyms for a few years until they outgrew the WNBA and screwed them right into the ground. They got to be careful.
It's the other players that's the biggest issue. Now the league handles every big PR, anything that could happen. The league is awful.
But the toxic players is what I'm talking about. Connecticut, that team is just...
It's ludicrous. I mean, why kill the mouth that feeds you so well? I just don't.
I get some resentment. I get some.
Cut that out. Why cut off the hand that feeds you so well? I mean, Caitlin Clark has brought the exposure to this league, and it's just like, you know what? We hate it. We hate her. We hate that she made this league watchable. I mean, with all due respect to the work that John and Michelle do on the Fever Report, and I know that it's one of our top listened to shows, and I love that people care about the Fever, but nobody really cares about the WNBA. Like people really just
If it wasn't for the Fever, I would very much not want to
do not care.
Yeah.
Like it is,
and I do because I'm a guy who loves Indy, and I'm going to love everything about it.
I think women's basketball is it's great to have
High school, college.
It's great to have the ability that it does to get people to
love it,
have a conversation about women's sports in general.
I've been in Louisville the last 20 years. It's a big women's basketball area now.
But nobody cares if the WNBA folds. Like it's not. It will affect. It'll affect the gatekeeping WNBA fans who are miserable and insufferable anyway, and really have no business talking about sports in general because they're so delusional with their thoughts about women's basketball as a whole. Really, I think it just goes beyond the WNBA and really into a whole other sphere of just women's athletics, and it makes it so hard for people to become fans of those sports. It's very reminiscent of like the United States women's national team, who always made it a point to talk about how much better they are than the rest of us because we've loved women's soccer for a long time. But I feel for Caitlin Clark. I do, because she's doing everything
not just
she can.
her. Lexi Hall, Sophie Cunningham, Aaliyah Boston, they've all been picked on and abused, and it's kind of gotten old.
The bad boy Pistons deserve what came to them.
Yeah.
The Fever don't at all.
Yeah.
They just don't deserve what's come to them, and I hate to see it. With that being said, please still listen to the Fever Report. It is great. John,
we love the Fever.
Incredible job.
Yeah.
With that being said, the WNBA could be gone next year, and I would lose 0 seconds of sleep over it.
I would,
without Caitlin Clark being in there.
I would be disappointed that Indianapolis was set up for something special, and it was blown.
Well, and I think that's a great point, and I agree with that. I think that Hoosiers and Fever fans and Indiana's in general was so lucky to get the opportunity to house Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And for us to play such a pivotal role in fandom and celebrating her greatness and what she's brought to the sport and elevated it to a level it had never even thought about touching before. And that's going to be unfortunate when this league ultimately burns down in flames, because it will, because they'll never get this CBA worked out and agreed to. But I just can't help but think what could have been. What could have been if it would have just been ran a little better. The only hope is if Adam Silver steps in and just says, I'm going to be the commissioner of the WNBA too, because then it'll get better, because he's turned the NBA into a cash cow in the digital market, and he'll do the same with the WNBA. But something's got to change.
And since we did spend the entire first episode of Strictly Biased with Will Rutherford talking about the NFL, let's preview that a little bit, talking a little bit about the NFL. And I'm going to give you a take that we didn't talk about.
Okay.
I think this is Lamar Jackson's year. I think he's the MVP. I think they win the Super Bowl. I think it's Lamar Jackson's year.
He'll win the MVP, but I don't know. Pat Mahomes might just come back and take what's rightfully his, too. I think that he got a lot of flack last year at the beginning of the year for kind of some shortcomings, whether that was scheme related. But
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't count him out, and I wouldn't count Andy Reid out.
He was 21-2 touchdown to interception ratio after like week 8 last year. All due respect to Lamar. Lamar is probably the best quarterback in the league as far. Well, no, he's not. Josh Allen is. I would still take Josh Allen tomorrow if I'm starting a franchise between the two. But like Lamar's skill set as far as running and his finesse and things like that, it's a talent unlike we've probably ever seen before. But I don't know. I think that there's always going to be something that stops Lamar from. He's always going to be the Peyton Manning to someone else's Tom Brady. I just think that's where his career is at, to no wrongdoing of his own. But I don't think this is his year.
And we have about 90 seconds left, and in that time, I want you to answer this question and then follow up with your reason. Percentage chance the Colts make the playoffs?
45. The South is still winnable. If they're just good, they have a 45% chance. I don't expect Tennessee to be great. Houston's a Stroud injury away from being meh. Jacksonville's a Lawrence injury away from being meh.
Yeah, you could say that about anybody. The Colts, I would say,
who are their backups though?
A higher percentage chance. of drafting their next franchise quarterback next year than making the playoffs.
Oh, I think it's in between. Well, no, it's not. They're going to be like 8-9 if they don't make the playoffs. You know what's going to happen. Their roster is just too good for them to lose that
A
many
lot of
games.
holes in the roster.
Linebacker. Where else are we talking? Like real holes.
That's too long of a conversation, but you know the holes that they have. They have 2 second-year guys on the offensive line. We have no idea if Gonzalez and Bartolini are any good. We have no idea if the corners are going to work. The defensive backs are going to work together. They're all new, by the way. Xavier Howard,
Yes,
a
just
new
got
addition.
signed.
Any effect on the team?
It raises their floor, I think, in the secondary. He's a floor raiser. I don't
Man,
think
when
he's
he
probably
was
not a
good,
ceiling
he
raiser.
was good.
I mean, they've done it with a few cornerbacks that they've found lightning in a bottle and really kind of revitalized their career. So I think it's definitely possible that for whatever reason he comes in and flips a switch.
If everything came together, the defensive backfield could be special.
I agree.
Well, thank you so much.
Yep.
It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
So that is the new format, and we're only a few days in, but I think it works really well. Talk a little sports with a bunch of different reporters every day with a 10-minute conversation at the end. That is Central Indiana Sports Central. Thanks so much to our fever guy, John Robertson, Sam Frick from ANEC Sports in Fort Wayne for coming on and talking some Colts. Michelle Garmon did double duty for the Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader, covering soccer and volleyball, and still had some time to give us a call and talk about it. Eric and Ryan Robinson for doing a little college football report, and thank you so much to Will Rutherford for spending some time here with us early in the morning. Thank you so much for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a Central Indiana sports fan in your life. Help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here, talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.